Hello, nerds, and welcome to the 4NerdsCast. You're on with Happy Bandit,
Keelan,
The wife,
and Laura the Great.
The other day, we were at Walmart, and we were walking by the cooler section, dairy area, and they had this whole section that was filled with yogurt that all had clearance tags on them. And I was like, nope. No, I'm good. Thanks. And I got to thinking, what foods are you willing to eat on clearance and are not?
baked goods.
Yeah, the bakery rack is always up for grabs. I stop there every single time.
Dale donuts.
Yeah. I have a thing about dairy-related things anyway. Like, when you pull the milk out of the case, the clock is ticking.
It has to be the last thing we get.
To get that milk back into your home refrigerator, I have made significant improvements on that in the last few years.
It used to be really bad, and like I could
We've got to get home right now.
I could see him sweating, like the anxiety so bad as we wait in line at the grocery store.
I remember a conversation that the two of you had when Laura the Great and I made our monthly shopping trip to a town that's like 45 minutes away, and she put the milk from the back of the car into the refrigerator. He was not happy.
I specifically remember we had just put the milk in the cart, and Laura said, "Oh, I need to go get this thing from the other side of the store." I picked the milk up and I put it back in the cooler.
Wow.
And I was like, "We'll come back."
And inevitably we forget the stupid milk.
Yeah.
We have had, we unloaded groceries, left the milk out overnight, and still put it in the fridge next morning and drank it just fine.
And it's still good.
Yeah.
So I would, in fact, buy clearance dairy. I have bought clearance dairy.
That's the only way I buy some of those expensive yogurts is when it's on clearance.
They last forever.
And I've got some that the dates are probably out on in my fridge. They're still good.
Now, I do look at the expiration date on dairy product. Now, milk expiration date, I will
iffy.
smell it. I will smell it. Yogurt, I will let it go maybe a week or two over expiration date if it hasn't changed its smell or its color. Just because yogurt is cultured. And so it's not going to go bad like other stuff does.
I'm yogurt. Look at me.
I'm yogurt. I'm so cultured.
Related to that, one of my coworkers the other day, she just ate her lunch, and she's like, I got this really cool yogurt that like is like almost like carbonated. And she was like, it was really good, but then I bought it again and it wasn't the same. It just didn't have that carbonated sort of flavor to it. And I was like, oh honey,
You ate bad yogurt.
Carbonated?
Yeah, it had fruit in the bottom, and the fruit had fermented.
It was really good.
And she really enjoyed it. And I was like, you bought bad yogurt is what you did. You bought some really disgusting bad yogurt and ate it and enjoyed it.
But I have made, like I said, significant strides in this where, the milk has been sitting out on the counter for 30 minutes. Okay, I'm going to put it back in the fridge and just pretend this never happened. I will sniff almost every time. The latest exception to that was it was right towards the end of whatever month I was in, and I pulled the milk out, and the date was from the start of the month, and I just said, no, we're done with this. And
I'd never look at dates on anything. Never.
No.
I pulled a milk carton out of the back of the fridge at work. We have these little fridges we keep milk and juice and stuff like that in. And apparently we had a new person in dietary who hadn't been rotating that stuff out. And I reached back and grabbed one and went to pour it over my cereal. And it was the last thing of that cereal that we had on the shelf at work. And I poured it over it, and it was chunky, and I was so disappointed.
That's heartbreaking.
Oh, one of the...
disappointed.
I was... during college, I would stay with my sister and her family so that I could be here instead of going home to where my parents lived, where I knew nobody. And
your girlfriend was here.
Yeah. And so one
Now
day,
wife.
it was Sunday morning, and my sister said, "Can you please scramble some eggs so we can have breakfast before we go to church?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." and it was the last of the egg. Like however many eggs there were, that was how many we were making up for breakfast because that's all we had. And me, thinking I had some kind of great culinary mind for whatever reason, I thought, well, you know what? You know what you do to make eggs better? You add a little milk. And I went and I poured the milk in and these chunks fell out. And I felt so bad because I completely ruined this breakfast for everybody. And it was terrible.
Well, that's definitely a good way to tell if your milk has gone bad.
Yeah,
By the way.
there's chunks in it.
So is there any other food? I guess the question is there any kind of food that if it were clearanced, you would be like, no. Or at least feel cautious about?
Seafood.
I'm cautious about like clearance meats.
Nope.
It depends on where I'm getting those from. But like some places, like Aldi will put their meats on sale well before they go, to an expiration date. But like some other places, like there's a little grocery store here that the meat will look inedible and it has a clearance tag on it. And so I'm a little wary of buying
that's the nice thing about
clearance
meat is that it's wrapped in this clear
And
cellophane,
you
and you
can
can look
tell.
at it and you can say, that is not the color it is supposed to be.
I've been burned by lunch meat that was on clearance that it looked fine through the package, and then you opened it up at home and it
That stuff
smelled
has so
bad.
much preservatives in it, though it's fine.
Yeah.
It was funky.
My rule of thumb with meat is if it's gray, I don't buy it.
If it's
Right.
gray, stay away.
If it's gray, stay away. Our friend Terry, his favorite thing to say is not to eat the gray bacon.
Don't eat the gray bacon.
Don't eat the gray bacon. But I mean, for me, there's pretty much nothing that I won't buy on clearance, but I think it's pretty much because I'm cheap anyway. And I mean, we are typically on a super tight food budget. And so for me, if I find something on clearance, I'm like, oh, score.
Yeah.
Buy 2 of those,
Yeah.
But I will buy pretty much anything on clearance. And then when it comes to dairy, like I said, I'll buy milk close to or on the expiration date because it typically doesn't go bad. It's usually good for about a week after the expiration date. Cheese, if it's not moldy, it's still good. And the same with sour cream. If it's not fermented and if it's not foamy, typically yogurt is still good.
Okay, I will say
These
this.
are all things I have heard from food hoarders on the hoarding shows.
Yeah, but
Like,
I'm not a food hoarder.
If it's not puffy, you can still eat it.
Well, I mean, I do draw the line at something that's been in my refrigerator for 6 months or more.
Well,
So,
the difference is that's food that you're now taking and will be consuming. That was
Yes.
just food they just had piled around.
yes, exactly.
Now, I will say this when it comes to one particular dairy item. Okay, I am almost 36 years old. Within the last few months, I learned you can put butter in a butter dish and just leave it out on the counter. And this has completely changed my life.
Because now you can use it and it's soft, right?
However,
Our dog's a jerk.
he got up on the table and just knocked the butter dish off and broke our butter dish.
no.
So now we got to get a new butter dish.
As long as it's real butter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's real butter. Yeah, I explained to him that you can leave it out on the counter. It's fine. It's not going to go bad. It's fat. It's not going to go bad.
Exactly.
It makes spreading butter on toast so much better.
It's so nice.
delightful.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I got so inspired that I just started putting butter on things. You know what I had for the first time ever recently? I put butter on a Pop-Tart.
All right.
It was so friggin' good.
I grew up eating it that way. Didn't
Yeah.
know anything
Yeah.
different. That's the way we ate
Well,
Pop-Tarts.
Okay, I will say I was probably a teenager before I realized there was a difference between real butter and margarine because my parents never bought real butter when I was a kid.
Yeah, we never had real butter
So
either,
I
just
put
'cause it was
margarine
so
on a
expensive.
Pop-Tart my entire
And it
childhood.
was also
So freaking good.
And it was the margarine. That, my mom used to buy this stuff that was just
the
back
cheap
then,
of the
the-
cheap.
the really, really cheap margarine was just
She
awful.
still buys it.
Does she?
My parents would buy the Country Crock, like the big tub of Country Crock.
Yeah, that's always what we had growing
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, my parents sprang for the country crock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff on some fresh baked muffins. Oh, so good.
Well, I'll tell you, it's dual purpose. Like you have a bunch of, I'm using air quotes for those who can't see, butter, And then you got Tupperware when you're done.
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
There's
And
leftovers in it.
yeah, we had you had to search for the actual tub of butter for a good 20 minutes as a kid. Or like if it was in the fridge and it said Cool Whip, you knew it wasn't Cool Whip.
Keelan, you need to tell them about your grandma.
Yeah, my grandma, she lived through the Depression. So she saved every little morsel of food left over because a meal for her, she could have a spoonful of something and save it, and then that'd be a meal for her later on because she ate like a bird. So she kept every butter container, every single, never threw any of that stuff away, and would always wash it and use it. So you look in her refrigerator, it was just like that, just
Butter
a mountain
containers,
of butter.
yeah.
You just where's the actual butter? Oh yeah, no,
I'm out.
yeah.
Yeah, like it takes you 20 minutes to find the actual butter.
Have you heard his cousin tell the story? She's told me part of the story of when they moved in to that house before we did. And there were still butter containers everywhere.
She kept every single egg carton,
50
every
milk
milk jug.
I know that she crocheted a little turtle, and
Yes.
inside the turtle is a small butter container.
Yes.
That was like a rattle.
Weren't you telling me something about her and bath water?
Yes.
You're not that big.
Yeah, when we take a bath at her place, it was literally an inch of water and a wash rag. Here you go. Here's your bath water.
Hey, man.
And that's
You could
because,
drown in that.
Am I wrong, or is it the same bath water for every person?
Well, us two kids, yes.
Okay.
Well,
she may
here's-
not do it for everyone else, but
Here's part of the reason why. They lived in Alaska
yeah.
when they had
there's a
kids.
reason.
And the water delivery truck would come like once a week
Yeah.
and
This is
deliver all the water that they could have
on
for the
an
entire
Air Force
week.
base.
I love that she's telling these stories about your grandmother.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
I know.
she's my step great grandmother.
But
She told me this story.
The craziest thing to me was this is the way she washed clothes every time she washed them. She would start with the delicates, the things that weren't very soiled, and wash a load. Wouldn't let it go through the spin cycle. She would take things out one time, wring them out, put them into a basket, and take them out to hang out on the line, and then put the next load in on the same water and wash them. Wouldn't let the water drain. She'd leave the lid over the washing machine open so it would never drain. It would just do this washing part, take it out, until she got to the end, which my grandpa's work clothes, his overalls. He worked out in the garden and worked on a car or whatever. That would be the last thing she'd put in with the dirty water. And she'd wash 6 or 8 loads of clothes with one tub of water.
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time. And one time she ever used the dryer is in the wintertime.
When the clothes will freeze and you have to go outside and beat the ice off of it. I've done that. You have to hit the clothes and break the ice so that they'll dry.
Normally, I think we've been going to weird news, but let's mix things up a little bit and hit an Ask Reddit.
Ooh, spicing it up.
And I love this. Most of the nerdy Ask Reddit questions we've had so far have been gaming related. I'm going to keep it in the nerdy realm, but change it up a little bit. If the Force really existed and you could learn to use it, what absolutely petty thing would you use it for?
Petty. Oh.
These are not the droids you are looking for.
I would convince people in the emergency room that are not really that sick to go see their primary care physician. That's the nurse answer right there.
You don't need to be in the ER.
Yeah.
This is not the diagnosis you're looking for.
Yeah. These are not the pain pills you're looking for.
See,
I'm going to go home and I'm going to do something better with my life. That's that's the thing I would use a lot.
See, you're still
I'm still like trying to do things for the greater good. But for me, it's a petty reason because it's an inconvenience at my job to have people come in and looking for drugs.
See, I'm thinking like pull food out of the kitchen and float it into me at my desk.
Can I
But I
use the
have
Force
small
to clean
children
my
for
house?
that. Yes, use the Force to clean your house.
I would use the Force to clean my
You
house.
know how you use the Force to clean your house? Child, you want to clean the house.
You want to scrub the baseboards.
You want to scrub the baseboards.
The first thing that popped in my head was just like, you don't want to get up to get the remote, so you just kind of, summon it over there. But I don't think that's petty, quote unquote petty. It's that's just lazy. Petty would mean doing something that's very selfish. And
Well, I'll tell you, I have thought many times driving down the highway that it is very good thing that I don't have the force or the powers of Magneto for that gentleman in the car in front of me. Because they would be flipping somewhere at this point, because of the way they're driving. And I normally don't get real upset when I drive, but I don't know, every once in a while somebody just does. Either they're going 10 miles under the speed limit and I can't get around them, or they're kind of, they're weaving a little bit or for whatever, and it's
doing
just
something unsafe.
But yeah, I mean, many times I've thought, if I could just lift this car up enough to drive under it and then set it down behind me.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to do. Here's another fun thing I just thought of is close automatic doors right as people were about to walk in.
So wrong.
I don't know. That just came to me. I thought it would be fun.
God. Oh, I just imagined you doing that to our kids. Because we have this 11-year-old that she sometimes, when walking through doors, makes the motions that she's doing that, like the Jedi mind trick and like moving things. And so it would just be really funny to me if she did that and then you made her walk into it.
The closest equivalent that I can think of in real life is when you're walking at a certain pace and you expect the doors to open at a certain speed, and
But
they
they
do
don't.
not.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got to stop, or I'm going to run into these doors. But yeah, just the idea of being able to shut them, or
Not
even
again, Dad.
even just close a door, a regular door. That would be fun.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Any kind of prank related thing would be fun to do.
I think other things would be like just moving things to mess with people. I would do a lot of that.
Oh yeah, like I set my drink here, I turn around, and now it's sitting over there.
Or
Yeah.
like just do things like little minute things to make people question their sanity, like shift all the furniture in their house to the left like 3 inches.
Yeah, just completely convince somebody.
Or slightly make all of the paintings in their house askew.
What if you raised everything a couple of inches to make them think they were shorter?
Am I shrinking?
That'd be a great one to do on your wife.
Yeah. Who's already short.
The other day, so there's a significant height difference between the two of us.
I am 5'4" and he is 6'1"-ish,
But
6'2" maybe.
When I am wearing my shoes and she is not, it's as if that difference gets just exponentially different.
It's like we're like a whole foot apart.
Adorable.